is your purpose here? How many of you are there?
Welcome to Voyage of the Geek for another week. Joining me as always, Dan Miller, Tom McGill, Tony Oakton.
Hello, hello.
How are we, gentlemen?
Pretty good.
Starting to get a little fresher. We've just switched over to, or we've reverted from daylight savings time. So we have to, our bodies aren't used to getting up as early.
No, I'm at the age where I have spent a week now in the new time zone and still haven't gotten used to it.
It seems to be harder the older you get too, yes. I'd like the other end of daylight saving where you get a free hour at midnight. Well, I'm hearing something.
Beautiful music.
And so what we're listening to are the dulcet tones of Dan's brand new Pixel mobile phone.
So new that he did not recognize it was his.
Yesterday I received a text message from Dan's AI. It wasn't even from Dan. It was the AI sending me a message to let me know Dan has got a new phone. Which I was scratching my head, and then Dan had to follow up with a phone call about 5 minutes later. Did my phone just contact you?
I was like, surely nobody's going to call
The
me.
AI say, Dan's got a new phone, Dave.
Well, I think it's poignant too. There are some artificial intelligence in the film we're having a look at tonight.
Yeah, that's probably stretching it. Really.
It is a little bit. They're called AI, but yes, what I'm referring to, of course, is the 1980. I believe it's 1980. Tom, correct me if I'm wrong.
I will just say
Oh, there was
yes.
79, actually.
I
Yeah,
thought
I think
it was the 70s.
Yes.
79.
Yeah, 1979.
Oh, the television series definitely was 80s, but
That's correct, yes.
79.
And what I'm rambling on about is the 1979 telly movie that also saw a brief release to the cinemas in the US, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
Yeah.
And it certainly it deserves the classic moniker for a number of reasons. Some of them positive, some of them negative. I think it's aged fairly well. Dan, how did you find this originally? Were you a sprightly young chap that was excited to see this on television in the, I would say it probably hit Australian television about 1980?
Yeah, absolutely. So as soon as it came out, yep, I was watching it. I don't know when it was. Was it like on at 6:30, 7:30? It was one of those type of...
I think it probably would have been prime time.
Yeah,
Maybe it was prime time. Yeah, no, I was watching it. Same with the TV show, and that came out as well.
Yes, the telly movie was really the first. I think initially I read somewhere that initially the pitch from the show producer Glenn A. Larson to the studios was to do a series of 2-hour telemovies.
Oh, right. Wow.
And the studio changed their mind and decided, no, we should do 1-hour episodics. But what it means is that out of the X amount of first series episodes, there's a lot of them that are doubles, that are double season, double episode stories, or story arcs, for that reason, that they were written for a slightly longer format. It did, as I said before, it did see a brief cinematic release. In fact, it made $21 million at the box office for a $3.7 million budget.
That's pretty good.
In 1980, as a sci-fi, that's very good.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about Glenn A. Larson. Glenn A. Larson is like a godfather in television, certainly in the era that we grew up with. He gave us Battlestar Galactica. He gave us Magnum P.I. He gave us Quincy, M.E., McLeod. The list is Hawaii Five-0, Knight Rider. He was the executive producer, I believe, on the more modern Battlestar Galactica and Caprica as well.
Didn't he give us Fall Guy as well?
He gave us The Fall Guy, starring Lee Majors, the $6 million man.
Yeah.
I think he wrote, before he became a big name producer in Hollywood, television producer, he wrote some episodes for the original $6 Million Man. I don't think he was the executive producer on $6 Million Man, but this guy is royalty. TV royalty, similar to Aaron Spelling, who did Dallas and Dynasty, and he was more the drama. This guy was the Hawaii Five-0, not so Hawaii Five-0, Magnum P.I. type. Action, really specialised.
Chases, car crashes and stuntmen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of classic, very cool titles under his belt there.
Absolutely. What about you, Tom?
I grew up with this thing. I just remember watching it as a kid and loving watching it. I had no clue. Just researching is how few episodes actually exist. I would have thought that I watched, hundreds of episodes as a kid, but they must have all been the same one on repeat.
Just 2 seasons.
Yeah, only 2 seasons and only like 12 or so episodes per season. I think the second season is even shorter than the first one because it had a premature, sooner than initially planned ending. Yeah,
we'll circle back to the TV series later on, but the first season and the second season couldn't be more opposed and different in structure and different in story arc, radically different. In fact, to the second season is
and of course the
absolutely terrible.
The movie kept coming up as a movie in television as well. So in the evenings when we had movie time, it was often on repeat. I mean, that movie showed frequently. Every couple of years I saw it in the TV guide, and I definitely made a point of turning in and watching it.
Absolutely. It sort of ticked a lot of the boxes for the young 10-year-old me. Robots, space battles, lots of sci-fi. It was fantastic. Rolling out of Star Wars a couple of years earlier. What about you, Tony?
Yeah, I saw it. I mean, I was a little bit older. I was 17 when this hit television in the UK. So I definitely watched it. I remember it with a lot of nostalgia. And
Yep. I think I read somewhere that it was broadcast at exactly the same time as Doctor Who in the UK when it was first initially released. And Doctor Who suffered a massive ratings drop as a result. I think it was celebrating like a 10 million ratings numbers, and it went to 3 million in the first night of Buck Rogers, whether it was the one-off telly movie or it was the first of the season. But yeah, it did quite well in the UK as well. So this film is specifically a telly movie.
I should just point out to the young people watching this, these were the days before video recorders or anything, so you had to choose between Doctor Who or this.
That's correct. Yes.
And then wait for the rerun, which might happen several years later. So it was a serious choice.
That's exactly right. You certainly had to
commit.
You had to commit, and that came at a cost. Often, and that meant someone in the house wasn't watching what they wanted to watch for this to play.
Yeah,
I remember Battlestar Galactica when it played in Australia was the same.
And our playtimes were judged by the television. Our playtimes, we would meet with friends and we play whatever, Cowboys and Indians, and go to the forest, and you have a look at the watch. You have to know, the 6:30, the show is on. We have to be home by then because we want to watch our show.
Absolutely.
Was it on demand?
No.
So bear that in mind as we review this film. It certainly doesn't stand up to some of the tentpole films that we've had a look at in the past, but I think it punches above its weight if we were to even compare it to mainstream cinematic releases that we've had a look at in the past. I'm not saying anything, Zardoz. But Dan, there is somewhere in this film a narrative, and I think the best way that we can journey through the various beats and appeal of the film, including some trivia along the way, is to use the narrative to guide us through it. So where do we start with this one?
Okay, so good place to start might be just with First of all, just a bit of a highlight that we are going to talk about the movie, so there could be spoilers. Well, there's going to be hundreds of spoilers, so if you want to see it and not be spoiled, you got to go and watch it before you come back to here. So that's the first one. The second one, I think, is a good idea, is just to talk about just a bit of an overview and give a bit of an overview of the characters so we kind of understand what we're talking about here. So we've got a bunch of good guys and we've got a bunch of bad guys. Does anybody have a... the first question I got for you is, what's the hook? What's the hook of Buck Rogers in the 25th century?
The hook? You mean the tagline? Is it?
Not the tagline, the key thing about it.
I thought of a
The
tagline the
most-
other day, but it was one of those alternate ones where a misunderstood princess tries to rescue a stranded... a stranded
NASA pilot.
NASA astronaut 500 years out of his time, only to have him grabbed away by a diabolical Earth directorate who hold him against his will and threaten to kill him. In fact, the only time his life's in danger in this film is when the robots want to kill him on Earth.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, okay, so that's a bit of a reverse twisted spin,
Yes.
but I like it.
So what's the hook?
The hook is that Buck Rogers is in the 25th century. He's from our time, 1983.
1989.
9.
87.
86.
86.
Who knows? But sometime.
It'll be in the
One of
quiz
those.
later.
And he's gone into the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was stuck. His cryostasis malfunctioned and he got stuck in a really wide orbit,
That's right.
and which returned him to Earth 500 years in the future.
Yeah, so he's essentially got frozen. So he's come back to Earth after doing the big loop for 500 years and everything's changed.
So, can we just mention opening sequence?
Yes, I think we
Yes.
definitely can't leave without
Thank you,
Because
Tony.
I found this very disturbing.
Do you get a sense that?
Well, you need to describe it. You need to give us give the
Well,
audience.
Basically, he seems to be having a wet dream. Basically,
Yes.
While in cryo, and the music definitely sort of backs this up. It's kind of like an intro to a porn movie.
Yes.
And I really found it quite unsettling and not at all.
These days or as a teenager?
These days, why is this here?
Yes.
Because it seems to have nothing to do with the movie. It's completely. It's like somebody who hadn't seen the movie
Yep.
produced an intro to it.
Yes. That's how it felt to me, and
Any context.
It
at all.
felt like your normal TV series in those days would have a montage of clips from the season, right? Think of The Fall Guy and Magnum PI and these sorts of things, and you've got little action 2 or 3 second bites from the season. Whereas this film didn't have a season really to call on because they used to do Larson used to do pilots before he got green lit for the whole season, the whole series. And so he didn't have the clips. And I can only imagine he'd recently seen a James Bond movie.
It was very
It
Bond.
was a bit James Bond.
It was
yes,
a bit.
It was a strap-on James Bond opening sequence,
Yeah.
wasn't it? It was literally slow-moving cameras, slow fades of the main actor lying on the words Buck Rogers. I believe they were sort of illuminated words spelling out Buck Rogers, and it was a bunch of sequenced images and slow camera pans of scantily clad young women,
Yeah.
Yes.
including some of the main actresses from,
Derogatively.
like Erin Gray.
Erin Gray, yep.
Erin Gray was one of the girls at the start, and so too was the princess that we'll come to, and then a couple of other
And
girls.
he's there
I
as
think.
well. He's lying there in his.
He's asleep in his
sleeping.
NASA jumpsuit,
Yeah.
yes, until he wakes up and pashes one of the girls,
Yes.
and then goes back to sleep.
Yes.
So I think you might be onto something.
Yeah, he's basically dreaming all this.
Yeah. And he
Yeah.
does. I think it is almost a dream sequence because the very last shot that we see before we go to the title sequence is him frozen in his cockpit, floating in space.
So, and what about the song? The opening song.
You had to bring it up.
Okay, I don't want to lead your opinion, but I think it's the most awful song in the world.
Yes.
And just to bring some contrast into the thing else, I love it. I absolutely love that song.
Tommy loves it.
I love the song, and it's been stuck in my head for the last week.
I was going to say, you've got an earworm with the song.
No.
I think
But
it plays
it's
at the end
not-
as well, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lyrics of the song are about how he's really confused, right? It's like everything's a dream and what's going on and I don't know what's going on. And so, yeah, it's just...
In my defense, I have to say I do not have a clue what the lyrics are. I've not
No.
listened to the. I'm just got.
It's a
the
dream
music.
sequence, right? We were
Yes.
talking before, right? But
Yep.
but the lyrics are all about what's going on. It's
Yep.
all in a big dream.
For the season, they used the same melody and up tempoed it. So and there's no words.
There's some drum beats in it again
Yes,
as well. I
yes.
think.
There's no words in the season opening title music, whereas in the film that we reviewed, there is a full blown song. And yes, I'm with you, Dan. The lyrics leave a lot to be desired, and so does the voice.
And it's not very heroic, is the thing.
It's
You
not
know, there's
heroic
not
at all.
lots
It's
of.
It's like a story.
You know, there's no trumpets or anything like that. It's just this.
Like introduction to Never-Ending Story. Or
Yes,
something like
yes.
that.
Yes, Xanadu.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I'm dreaming. I'm not a space astronaut. I'm not going to fight people. I'm just going to love my way through the next. That's completely out of. It doesn't fit the film at all in any way, shape, or form.
Totally.
It's the bizarrest thing.
Yes.
Yeah, if not for the fact that it took part on the words Buck Rogers, you wouldn't know whether it was part of the actual same film.
All right, so getting into it, we got a bunch of characters now. Now Buck goes and visits the bad guys first.
He gets found by
He gets
them.
tracted aboard.
We get tractor beams.
He's still
earlier
he's still
early
unconscious.
on. Yes.
They shoot at him first a few times. They actually nick
So-
his spaceship.
And say, wait!
That's a bit of a key moment.
They're about to blow him up
Yep.
Yes. Okay, and then why don't they blow him up?
because the ship looks weird.
Yes, they just like, oh, this is a bit weird. Yeah.
Don't shoot. That ship looks weird.
But we don't know quite who these people are.
That's correct.
Now, what we might need to do is to just move forward with the story, just to give a bit of context, that we're talking about the Draconians,
Yes.
and they have a starship.
Big one.
A BFS.
Yes.
It has a Star Destroyer moment at the start where it
Absolutely.
flies over the camera and is long.
Absolutely.
In fact, there's quite a bit of contrast between the dreamy opening, the lamest song in the world, the opening
Yes.
sequence, followed by
the Barracos.
yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, it's like it's super.
It's big fucking ship music.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Now that ship is supposed to be, on a friendly peace mission.
That's right.
It's the spikiest, most death look at you. I mean, it looks like it would hurt,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It looks like it would hurt, but it's supposed to be a peace ship, and they're going to have a peaceful mission, but they're secretly loaded up with pirates.
They're concealing the fact that they're armed
Yes.
with pirate fighters
That's right. And their plan is once they get inside the human,
inside the shields.
inside the shields, they're gonna lay down the law, and they're gonna do something horrible.
Yeah.
Right. So the ships that find Buck Rogers are pirate ships.
Yes.
Okay. So
Which are secretly draconian pilots.
so here's my question: why are they sending out their secret pilots? Because it's dangerous, right? Because if they pick up Buck Rogers and Buck recognizes the pirate ships, the game's going to be up, because that's part of their plan, is to use those pirate ships to just hassle people, right?
That's what they've been doing. The Draconians have been... The olive branch that they've offered Earth is that we can help you with your pirate
So
problem.
it's a protection racket.
The whole time it was the Draconians that were behind the pirate problem,
Right.
cutting off the Earth's supply lines.
Yes.
Earth can't grow its own shit,
Yes.
and they have to get supplies from other places in the universe.
Okay.
But the pirates have stopped that, and that's why the Draconians are able to offer a hand, an olive branch, and that sets up the premise as to why the big ship is heading to Earth.
Right. So they find Buck Rogers and they decide not to shoot him because he looks different from other things that they've seen before.
Yes.
Okay. And they bring him back onto the ship with a tractor beam. A triangular green tractor beam, which is
Yes.
a good interpretation of a tractor beam.
Yes.
And then what happens when we get on board the ship?
They bring him out of...
Or who do we meet?
Well,
who
the
do we
f-
meet?
The princess and her right-hand man,
Yes.
and also her left-hand man, the
Yes.
bodyguard.
Yes, Tiger Man.
Who doesn't have many lines in this movie, actually,
think
now that I think
none.
about it.
No,
Yeah,
but they
close
all
to
look
none.
distinctly Asian. They have helmets that look like samurai
it's kind of-
helmets.
yeah.
And
Yes.
and Tiger Man has the long
Yes.
beard, sort of
Mustache.
Yeah, the long Asian-looking Mongolian mustache.
And they're part of an empire as well.
Yes. Yes, and in fact, they say that they have conquered, the Draconians have conquered 3/4 of the universe.
That's right.
And I think that that's quite an achievement.
Not just the galaxy, but the universe.
Considerable. It's considerable achievement out of 500 years, but possibly
impressed.
Possibly longer than 500
I'm
years.
impressed. I'm impressed.
It could be just like the Americans doing a World Series when they're the only ones involved. I mean,
Yes.
they might have just
What, you're saying
conquered
that
3
they-
planets, and we say, oh, I've got the 3/4 of the universe, and who's going to tell us differently?
Now, the princess is daughter number 20,
11,
daughter
I think,
number
or something.
1
Yeah.
of 29 or something. She's the first in line.
She's the princess.
But she's got 28 sisters that can replace her if she screws this mission up.
yeah, yeah.
And Tiger Man, we also get to meet Kane, who is the commander of the big ship,
So
big
they're
baddie ship.
so they're kind of like the two bad guys. Is
Yeah.
Princess Ardala and Kane, and they're always kind of fighting each other.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
always-
He's not really her henchman because he pulls her into line a couple of times.
Yeah, he's not a henchman. He basically
Tolerates her.
running the ship and tolerates it. Yeah, he doesn't really want her there. Just a pain in the ass.
Tiger Man is probably the henchman.
Okay, so quickly, what is the perception? Who do they think Buck Rogers is? Because they bring him on board the ship and they poke him and prod him down in the med bay or whatever. And
Well, Kane thinks he's a spy, right? And instead of just killing him instantly, comes up with a plan to prove that he's a spy by letting him go.
Yeah, I believe the princess using him to find the secret door, which is
Yes.
marked on the screen there in dotted lines.
That's right. This the special dotted line door that leads to Earth. The princess doesn't care. She just likes his butt in tight pants.
Yeah, she likes his pants.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
pretty hot for Buck.
Yes, her main question when she found out that they had brought him on board was, and that he was 500 years old, and that they thawed him out. Her question was, thawed old or thawed young?
Yes, that's right.
And he got very interested when she found out he was thawed young.
Yeah.
All right, so they put a tracker on his ship,
Yes.
and then they sort of send him down to Earth.
They put this alien ship in their launch system,
Yes.
which he knows nothing about.
yeah.
He's drugged, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah, he's like he's
We
stoned.
should mention that he's obviously quite high
Yes.
at this point.
They drugged him up.
He really has no idea what's going on.
Yes.
He's probably one of the least professional astronauts I think I have ever seen in
Yes.
my life.
Yes.
And then they catapult him out of this ship, which he seems quite happy about. Really, he's quite blasé about the whole thing. He's like, "Well, this is cool."
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. He's mostly concerned that he might get picked up by the Russians and land
Yeah,
in
he does seem
Moscow
pretty
or
concerned
something
about
or
this,
other.
So he's revived because of the new sciences available to be able to bring him back to life. But apparently the cause of his stasis was a perfect balance of elements that were brought together to create this.
Yeah, there's a bit of quite impressive techno babble at that.
Yeah, where they mention a couple of elements. A couple of them I don't believe are
some gas
known to us.
Yeah.
I think in the opening crawl, they talk about it later, but in the opening crawl it says here, and I wrote it down, he experienced cosmic forces beyond comprehension.
Yes.
That is the cause of his...
So we can't comprehend it.
Yes, that's the cause. Of
We
his-
shouldn't even talk about it.
That's right.
We're not going to
It's
comprehend
beyond-
it.
Yeah, don't even try.
Yep.
Good get out of jail card, that isn't it?
Yeah.
Cosmic forces beyond our comprehension.
All right, so he goes down to Earth, and this is where we can meet the...
Well, he's intercepted by
The good guys.
the fighters, the Earth fighters, and
they bring him in through the... Because there's like a door in the force
there's a
field.
little invisible door, and so now the Kane and the princess are aware of where the door is as well.
That's right. So now we meet the good guys. So we meet the Earth crew,
Earth Directorate.
and we're going to start to learn a little bit about what's going on down on Earth and who's part of the Earth crew. There's a few different people.
Well, who's the commander of the fighters up that intercept him?
Also, the actual pilot in command of the fighters is Wilma
Wilma Deering.
Deering.
Colonel Wilma Deering,
Colonel Deering.
Yep.
which reminds me of Blackadder. There's like Captain Darling. Hello, darling.
A stunning actress. Let's just throw that out there right now.
She is, and yeah, I mean, I was quite disappointed. I remember her in those very tight jumpsuits, and she didn't seem to be wearing any tight jumpsuits in this. I felt quite.
The spandex, yes,
Spandex.
yes.
There's no spandex in this.
There's
Right.
copious amounts of spandex in this film. I think I read somewhere that Buck Rogers, the actor Buck Rogers, what's the actor's name? Tom?
Gil Gerard?
Gil Gerard had a little bit of a problem with the 24/7 access to the craft services table.
I think they were
on set.
Yeah, you got to wait.
He was fluctuating in weight at such a degree that the tailor for the show was so frustrated he had to go to the executive producer and say, "Can you pull this guy into because I'm sick of making him pants." And they came up with a nickname for him. What was it? The white lycra sausage or something like that.
They're the tightest and whitest suits that you will ever see in any show. The
Yes.
stormtroopers are not as white as these suits.
Yes.
Always spick and span clean.
And they've got
so
sparkly
tight,
things on top of that as well.
so tight that Wilma had to be sewn into them.
Oh, really?
Really?
That's crazy. So we meet Wilma as part of the fighter escort that escorted him
Yep.
down to Earth.
Yep.
And she carries a big stick. She's got a bit of pull.
She's a bit of a stick in the mud. She's a bit of a, I don't know,
She
proper.
she takes an instant dislike to Buck.
But she's capable. She's capable. And
I think it's hidden, like her true emotions.
Yeah, her true emotions.
She's
is-
overcompensating.
Yeah. No, she's got the hots for Buck.
Yeah.
She's definitely. But she's also at the same. Yeah, she's got this sort of contrasty. Yeah, not going to let him. Now, I think all of the Earth people they're all a bunch of no funs, right? All of them are all these super, I don't know, uptight, proper people.
Yeah. Yeah, Earth has certainly fallen on bad times in the 500 years.
Apparently, I mean, does anybody actually say? Because at some point, Buck says, "Tell me about the apocalypse." And that's the first time I remember the apocalypse being mentioned. Was there any backstory to that at all? Or did he
No,
just-
it's very they're very quick. Something bad in the past. World War Three. Blah, 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 blah.
Everyone
Yeah, I mean,
died.
Earth is no longer capable of growing its own crops. It's depending on other planets. They
Its
never
environment.
really go too much into it.
Yeah.
There is a sequence where they go into outside of the dome. So
Yes,
when we
yeah,
say
we can
he's
talk
being
about
pulled into the Earth and under a dome, we're not talking about a force field around the entire planet.
Yeah.
We're talking about a force field around the entire city.
Yes.
New Chicago.
New Chicago, yes.
Yeah.
So there's one city which has all the humans in it, and anyone who's not in the city is basically a mutant living outdoors in the wastelands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we also meet Dr. Hewer, who is sort of a Shakespearean actor who's playing some sort of scientist.
Yeah.
So fairly straight, old gentleman type
He likes to
person.
He likes to outsource quite a lot.
Outsource.
Well, he outsourced the security for Buck to Wilma. He outsourced the debriefing and interview of Buck.
True. He kind of doesn't do too much.
No, he
in the
doesn't do
movie.
much. He carries a clipboard
He stands around and looks
With
official,
a calculator on it.
with a calculator stuck to the clipboard.
just in case he needed to
Yeah.
divide by a large number
Yeah.
by another number.
Yes.
Okay, and then we've also got Tweaky.
Twiggy, yes, which is a small robot with a penis head. Have you seen a more phallic robot in cinematic history? Like it literally is the head of a penis.
I don't know what people were thinking. I don't know what people. Yeah.
Chrome Dome.
Yes.
It's insane.
Okay, so we've got the slightly comically shaped
Tweaky?
Tweaky,
Who doesn't speak a lot?
who doesn't speak a lot. Now, I think the idea was that he wasn't going to speak at all.
Yes.
He was only going to make these bitty sounds.
Yes. But then they realised that was exactly what they did in Star Wars.
Yes.
Yes, there was a pairing because he's paired with another artificial life form, and so were R2D2 and C3PO. And
Yes.
they wanted to get a little bit away from that pairing of two robots.
Otherwise, Uncle George was going to come knocking.
So he does say a few lines here and there. And who does the
Mostly sexual.
voice?
Famously.
Mostly sexual.
Bugs Bunny.
Yes.
Sexual, he seems to be very interested in when she dances.
Yes, he has a
For
few
robot, he seems
double
quite-
entendre type,
Yeah.
or
Yes.
at least 1.5 entendre
Yeah.
He's the
type.
kind of penis robot that says hubba hubba when it sees a woman in tight pants.
Yes.
He actually does say
He
hubba,
does.
hubba.
He
Yeah.
does indeed.
Yeah.
And yes, voiced famously by Mel Blanc.
Yes, Mel Blanc. So he does sound a little bit like Yosemite Sam.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was getting, my biscuits are burning.
Yep.
Vibes from Yosemite Sam. Okay. And then there's Dr. Theophilus. Theophilus.
Yes. Nickname
Who's
Theo.
Like Theo. Who's like a piece of Tupperware. He's like a Tupperware container with
He's a really
with
weird
lights
looking alarm
inside
clock.
it.
It's a bad, weird, old-fashioned alarm clock
Yeah.
with a face on it, with a
They all
weird
look
face.
like that. All his mates look like that as
Yeah.
well. He's like,
Yes.
Yeah, he's got a bunch
They're
of
the
buddies.
quants or the quantans or something.
The quads, wasn't it?
Quads.
Quants. I thought it had something to do with quantum computing.
They're referred to as the artificial intelligence
Yeah.
that saved humanity.
Okay.
They created the environment. They created the dome.
Okay.
They and they are sort of in charge,
Yes.
and especially of the legal system as well, which we'll talk about shortly. But yes, the panel, the arbiters of the world, the directorate, Earth Directorate, are these quad units, which are really just salad bowls with LEDs.
Somebody checked a bunch of LEDs in a salad bowl.
And Dr. Theophilus is assigned to interrogate Buck.
Yep.
And he hangs around Twiggy's neck. So realistically,
Yes.
Twiggy is a set of legs for Dr.
Yeah, I
Theophilus.
think that's fair enough. Yeah.
And Dr. Theophilus is the mouthpiece to Twiggy.
That's right. Importantly, he also does the weather. His job
Yes,
is the weather.
he's in charge of the environment.
He
Yes.
actually makes it. He doesn't report on it, but
No.
he makes it.
No, he
Creates
makes
the
it.
environment.
And he's a little bit artistic about it, about the colours.
That's right. I was going to blend a bit of mauve into the sunset
yeah,
tonight.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
All right, so the next part of the story is they're going to go outside the dome. So we've met all of the good guys. We've met the bad guys.
Dr. Theophilus breaks the bad news to Buck.
Yeah.
Yes,
You're 500 years out of time.
yes.
Buck doesn't believe it.
So it's
He has to see it for himself.
He's
a bit
surrounded
like
by
Red
robots
Dwarf
and
Lister.
flying
Yes.
fighter jets, fighter spaceships. and he
Despite
doesn't
everything
believe
he's seen, he doesn't believe it.
Yes.
He needs to see it for himself.
Okay, so he's going to go outside into the city.
Yes, he defies
outside of-
Colonel Deering,
Yeah.
who said, "You can't because you're still under house arrest." And he says, "Damn, bug, stuff you, I'm going anyway." Mm-hmm. And he gets Twiggy and Theo to take him outside.
They decide to wait till night and then go out.
Yes.
Okay, and so then they're wandering around outside, and it's a bit like, Escape from New York, right?
Yeah, with a little bit of there was, I can't remember which one, but there's one of the Planet of the Apes films takes place in an old
Yeah, it
rundown
does. It's,
city.
Battle for Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, with a bunch of robe-wearing people in the subway that have a nuclear bomb. Does
Yeah,
that
that's
sound right?
Yeah, that is.
And it looks very much like
They
that
don't have a nuclear
environment.
bomb. These guys. They just have things that they bang on a drum with.
In Buck Rogers, yes.
Yes, they
This
do.
is a lot of tapping,
There's a lot of tapping. There's a lot of drumming.
Why are they doing
Yes.
that?
Yes.
which I think does
and they're
happen
also
in.
very, very bad at chasing people.
They're all-
Because
they're-
Buck
they're-
Rogers
yes.
runs and Tweaky's on his little legs, and these guys can't catch.
They can't catch him. Yeah.
even though they're obviously very, very.
I
Smart.
think Escape from New York, there's a lot of banging.
There's a lot of banging. That's how the post-Holocaust scum people communicate.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
it. They sort of use this sort of Morse code
Yes.
that they talk to each other. You know.
I'm not
so
convinced.
well, they were doing it in Andor, weren't they?
Oh,
Kind
yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Doing it. Everybody does it. Come on. Okay, so they're out here and
Penis.
It is definitely a penis
Twiggy
helmet,
for
yeah.
those watching at home. And somehow they end up in a graveyard.
But
What's it?
he's looking for the. He says, "Oh, here it is. I found it." How he can
Yes.
possibly know where he's going to look,
Yep.
given that these people died long time after he went out into space.
So what does he find though?
Find some of his family.
Yes.
Some of
He
his.
finds his grandmother's grave.
Is it grandmother's or mother's?
Or mother's
Yes,
grave.
yes, family,
Or something
yep.
like that.
Yep.
Somehow in the middle of everything,
Yeah,
he
he
just
finds-
suddenly was brushing some dirt
Yes.
away, and it's like, oh,
Yes.
Yes, here it is.
And after
it is.
500 years, it's still there. The concrete is still intact.
Yep.
So I don't know whether that took him a long time or it took him a short time. But anyway, he finds his grandma's grave or whatever.
He was still being chased at the time.
Still being chased by axe-wielding mutants.
Tappers.
Tappers.
Yep.
Drummers. And it's looking pretty grim.
Yeah.
And some karate kicks. There was some karate kicks involved.
Yeah, just a bit of bit of fighting, bit of hand.
The series is there's a lot of that going on in the series.
Judo and throws.
Judo.
A lot of this.
Yeah.
Right. There's an incredible episode where he is being he foils an assassination attempt with a guy with a boomerang, and he foils him with his karate moves. Very cringe.
It's one step up from the previous Buck Rogers, Buster Crab.
Yes.
Because he used to strangle people. That was his combat move. Yes, he would grab people around the throat and they'd end up in this sort of strangling duel.
It's so personal.
Yes, that was the sort of... Before fight choreography or karate was invented, I imagine.
Yep.
So we didn't actually preface that yet, but there was other Buck Rogers shows before this. This was not
Yes.
a Glenn A. Larson invention.
And it
right?
goes way back.
No.
Yeah,
This goes back to the 1930s.
1930s.
1930s,
We
yeah.
got Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, played by the same guy, I
Crab.
believe,
Buster Crab.
and inspired many great filmmakers, including George Lucas. In fact, the Saturday serials, which is how they released these, the original series were called the Saturday serials, and Star Wars was modelled on a similar with the opening crawl is very Buck Rogers and very Flash Gordon from back in the day. But yes, it has a lineage, this storyline.
I think Buster Crab is even in one of the episodes.
I believe
He
you're
is,
right.
yeah. He
Yes.
plays a veteran pilot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, you're
And there's
correct.
some good hijinks there where he says...
There's some good, there's some banter between him and Buck Rogers where Buck says, "Do I know you? Oh no, boy, I've been doing this before you."
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, that's good. Okay, so karate chops on mutants isn't going to really cut it. They've got axes. He's only got his tennis shoes. So
All looks lost.
all looks lost, except the people from the city turn up with their laser cannons and
Colonel Deering turns up with an elite team, and they're driving.
Big tank thing. Yeah.
And where was the tank thing from, Tommy?
Probably from Battlestar Galactica.
It was
if you-
absolutely from
is
Battlestar
it?
Galactica. Because Battlestar Galactica came out a year before, or it was Glenn A. Larson's last big sort of foray into sci-fi. There were a lot of leftover props and ships and designs and things like that. So this series, this film took quite a lot of those.
Yeah, you don't see it very much though. It's sort of off in the darkness. So it's just there.
Yeah, but the torrent, there's a gun,
there's
a gun turret on top, and if you look at the original telly movie for Battlestar Galactica, they go to Casino Planet.
Yeah, they do,
I remember this.
And remember the tanks turn up with the turrets on top, like 8-wheelers or something like that.
I need to talk about Battlestar Galactica in a little bit actually.
Yeah. There's a bit of crossover, absolutely.
There's also the space fighters that they fly in Buck Rogers, where the discarded designs for the Vipers.
Discarded designs by who? Ralph McQuarrie.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So Ralph McQuarrie famously did most of the designs for the original Star Wars, and the Vipers that you see on the desk here are also designed by Ralph McQuarrie. But the fighters from Buck Rogers were originally supposed to be the fighters in Battlestar Galactica, but he went with an alternative, and so therefore they used the fighters from Battlestar Galactica in this that didn't get used in Battle.
A lot of hand-me-down stuff arrives
Lots.
into Buck Rogers, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well,
That's
the
how you
big
keep
ship.
the costs down.
And I'm going to say, it shows.
Yes, yes. Well, the big ship, the big baddie ship, that was the most expensive miniature ever used to that point in time.
Really?
Yeah, it cost more than any other miniature ever.
There was another really good special effect that they had in there that you only see once or twice, and it's of the pirate ships firing. And it's like the side of the ship where the gun is, and they've built some sort of gun thing, and they've got some sort of fire-breathing thing that they've got
Physical
inside.
mechanism.
Physical mechanism that's shooting out bolts of fire, and they've filmed that. It's pretty cool.
But yes, there's a lot of crossover. Even the launch tubes are very similar to Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, they could easily exist in the same universe.
I really like the laser sounds as well. When they turn up to save them in the
cemetery.
Yeah, they've got these really cool laser sound with this sort of high kind of noise to it. Yeah, it's very cool. All right, so they take them back, but there's going to be trouble because Buck, if you remember, had a tracker on his spaceship.
They found the tracker from the princess.
Tracker.
Princess
And so he's in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
He's in trouble. So we get one of those courtroom scenes
with the quads.
With the quads,
like a quorum, a sort of
a parliament
jury.
Yeah, court martial,
yes,
or something like that. Okay,
yes.
so there's going to be a prosecutor, and then there's going to be a defense counsel, and there's kind of a jury and an audience and a judge and all of that. And the charge is that he's working for the pirates.
Working for the pirates.
Now, this is what I liked about this show, is this story, is that the humans kind of only know what the humans do know, and they guess that he's working for the pirates. Now, if we, in our minds, remember that the pirates don't really exist, they're actually the Draconians pretending to be the pirates.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
And so defending him is Theo.
Theo, and he makes a pretty good case, I think.
He makes a good case.
Buck gets up and makes a good case for himself, and they decide to kill him.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I think we went a little bit too quickly over Theo making a good case, because I wrote down the defense.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Theo offered.
Because my take on it was Theo says, I've gotten to know him, and I think he's all right.
Yeah, this is the paraphrase, yeah.
And all I can say is, trust me on that. And then, Buck, do you have anything to say in your defence?
No, that was the defence.
And Buck says words to the effect of, I'm innocent. And then that's it. Rest my case.
It's pretty close
Thank
to
you
that.
for the time.
Let me, I'll just give you what I wrote down. This is the defense that Theo gives for the charge of being one of the horrible pirates. He says, like you said, it's all just a big mistake. And then he says, if you find him guilty, you have to find me guilty. My senses tell me that this man is good. Defense rests.
Yes.
That's literally what he says.
Yes. And I think what we need to do, what little digging, and I found that, and Tom, you might have come across, did you have a look into some trivia?
I did. There's not much around, but there's a little bit, yeah.
So originally...
The order in which things should happen in the script?
Originally, Theo says that, so he gets banished to the wastelands with Buck. So they don't try and kill him. They say, right, you're banished out into the wastelands, and that's how they find themselves out in the wastelands. That would have made
a lot more sense. Why do they?
And then at the last minute, Wilma, Colonel Deering, realizes I can use him. Right,
Yeah,
like if he's if he's a spy, right, I can use him, and so goes and finds him just at the last minute when he's in the cemetery, but that's why they were outside in the first place. So that statement of if you find him guilty, then you must find me guilty.
Okay,
and so in the original script, it's okay, we do.
Okay, that was a lot.
I don't know why they changed
smarter.
that.
That makes a lot more sense. All right,
so he's sentenced to death.
He's sentenced to death immediately. In fact,
yeah.
They
permadeath.
They said because
the permanent kind.
So if you yes, as opposed to the half-assed kind.
That's right.
If you remember what you just said, because that makes the next part, because there's a problem with the next part of the story, because he's now in his room. He's like on a house arrest, and Wilma turns up, and says how you, and so he's being very blasé about having to about getting killed or getting executed, and then Wilma just kind of offers him, well, how about you just go and take a spaceship and go and check out the Draconians?
Yeah,
and he says, yeah, okay, I'll go and do that.
Yes, reluctantly, he's playing with it.
He's slightly playing with it.
Yeah,
but I mean, why?
It might interfere with my my extermination if I go with you.
That's what he says, right? And so my question was, Wilma, does she have the authority to like
Yeah,
just
she just
suddenly
overrides these
overrides?
AIs who
Yeah. Yes.
have authority over them.
Yeah.
And not only that, she overrides the authority and then gives him a spaceship with guns.
Yes.
Yes.
Which he can take control of at any minute.
Yeah.
To go back to the place where actually I suppose at that point they don't know that the pirates are part of the draconian thing.
That's right.
So I guess
It's only Buck's theory.
but he has sort of but I mean he also pitched this to her before.
Yes.
the
Tries to
trial.
make the case that the
Yeah, and so-
pirates.
And I think he's put enough doubt in her mind
Yeah.
that she wants to check it out.
Yeah.
Plus, she's struggling with an inner turmoil because she's got
she
the hots for
fancies
Buck.
him. Yeah, she fancies him.
Yeah. All right, so they give Buck a ship. He goes up to space, and he's going to go to the Draconian ship.
We go to Draconian.
Yes.
Now, there's a strange little sort of space fighting sequence because as they're flying up to the Draconian ship, the people on the Draconian ship see them coming,
Yeah.
and they send out their
Pirates.
After though, isn't it? They get onto the Draconian.
Yeah, they get.
No,
they do.
No, they send them out. Oh,
No, they land on. Yep.
no, they land. You're right. You're right.
Then they send out then they send out the pirate ships.
Yeah.
Then they go out to help defend the Draconian ship.
Mm.
And I think the Draconians are hoping they're going to get annihilated. And they nearly do. And if they left the targeting computers turned on,
That's
they
right.
would all be dead.
Okay.
If not for Buck.
I've got to point this bit out actually, because this is, there's 5 of them, right? There's 5 fighter pilots. And, we don't get to know them very well. But they're people.
Yes.
They are real people.
That's right.
They have families and,
Mm-hmm.
and they're friends of Wilma's, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 of them get blown up,
Yep.
obliterated. And they sort of, the first one gets blown up and Buck goes, ooh. Ooh, that's got a smart. turn off you. Oh, then another one goes, oh, there's another one. Oh, no.
I know
And the
exactly
third
what
one
you
goes,
mean.
he goes, oh.
There
no.
seemed to be a detachment,
I'm
didn't
turning
they?
off my computer. And he turns off his computer. And
It's a flight computer. It's the computer that flies the spaceship, and he wants to go to manual.
He goes
and she
to
goes,
manual.
What?
Don't-
Manual?
she stays on computer and he then mops the floor with these.
Yes, and I think there's a funny moment where Buck's sort of observing them while, like, he's been instructed not to engage because he's really there as an observer, and so he's off on in his own ship, looking down upon the battle. And as the pirates are engaging the fighters, he's yelling out instructions, and at one point he says, "On your tail, 1 o'clock."
Yeah.
Right, and these people have never seen a clock in their life, right? And she's so taken aback by what Buck's yelled out, and then she gets blown out of the sky. And Wilma's actually on the money by saying, "Look, stay out of it. You're getting people killed." But he turns the tide. Yes, he works out that it's the computers that can't cope with the pirates, and only through manual flight can you
Old-fashioned red dogging.
Yeah, old-fashioned red dogging.
Dogfighter pilot.
And he does wipes the floor with them.
In a very, very poor dogfight.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is the thing that kind of surprises me about this. This film comes out 2 years after Star Wars and after Battlestar Galactica. I've seen good dogfighting sequences in both those.
Yes.
And this has terrible dogfighting sequences.
Battlestar Galactica suffered the same
Yeah.
fate. I think
Yeah.
everything was really tight.
Yeah.
And it was just ships sort of flying through the shot, and they were always sort of really quite
And you've got
close.
sort of stock footage is what they've got. So they've only got 7
They've
shots.
only got a certain amount of shots that they can pull together and flip.
Yeah, that's right. To try and
Yeah, and this suffered from those, but you could tell that it was literally created by the same people that did the shots from Battlestar Galactica. There was only a couple of shots that were new and original. For this series, for this film, than Battlestar Galactica. But yeah, I agree with you, Tony.
It wasn't a good dog.
No, it was not a good dogfight.
All right. So the plot is boiling up to the sort of the climax. The next is that the Draconian ship goes down to planet Earth for the trade delegation meeting.
It's the princess's yacht.
The princess's yacht, or whatever it is. So they arrive
Like a
down.
shuttle.
They arrive down on the.
Yeah, there's a bit where he mentions she's talking to him. Oh, the Princess
Dala.
Awadala or whatever. And he's talking to her, the commander of the ship, and she says, "Did it work?" He says, "Yeah, we the tracking system showed us where the secret entrance is, but they found the tracking things. But that doesn't really matter because now there's some." And he just sort of he forgets the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like that's no longer important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we just give up on that idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they just end up down there doing
Yeah.
the trade delegation. I don't know. They didn't make too much of a. I don't know. Too much of a big deal about going through
No,
the
he
gate.
didn't.
Everybody
Didn't
just
matter.
arrived down on the bottom of the.
Certainly didn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, inside the city.
Yeah.
All right. So the trade delegation,
The royal reception.
the royal reception. So we've got all the dignitaries there.
And here we have one of the cringiest
Oh, the dancing
sequences.
sequence.
Oh, yeah.
dancing.
One of the cringiest sequences in television history is about to happen. Describe that.
There was a certain amount of cringe. I mean, before we get to the cringe, you can't go past the fact that Princess Ardala turns up to the trade meeting in a bikini.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, with like
lots of
diamonds,
feather boas and capes and
diamonds and things.
lots of skin.
Yes,
Right? She's really 95% skin.
Yeah, and a headpiece, which looks like it's I don't know what the hell.
They
Now-
spent all the money on the costume here.
Yeah.
that ran out of money as it went go further
Didn't
down.
have much left to do the rest of the body.
Yeah, she's wearing a big, huge hat with horns.
Yes.
So what you've got to remember is that everybody down on Earth is a big stick in the mud. They're all lame, right?
Yep.
And so they're going to have
Uptight.
they're uptight. They're going to have a dance.
Yes.
And they've got the lamest dance music that you've ever heard.
Now, Glenn A. Larson has a fixation with futurizing dance because there are a couple of episodes of Battlestar Galactica where, including the one where Bing Crosby was Bing Crosby? Is he the dancer?
He is one of the dancers and singers, yes.
Yes. Bing Crosby was on in an episode, and he was a shifty scam artist, and that was
I
his
never knew that.
that was his character in an episode of Battlestar Galactica. And at one point, he convinces Starbuck that he's his real father, just to escape some assassins that were chasing him.
Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby, and they're on this. One of the ships in the fleet is like a gambling sort of Showtime type, where people go for entertainment and R&R. And there's dancing going on.
Okay.
And the dancing is very futuristic, where everybody holds these hoops and they do this weird dancing around with hoops. And the whole thing was choreographed by Bing Crosby.
Oh, really?
By getting him on to do, he loved the show, and that by getting him on, they were able to convince him to do the choreography for these things. Well, Buck Rogers is also fallen prey to Glenn A. Larson's fixation with futurising dance, right? If it's set in the future or in another world, they wouldn't dance the way we do. And so in this one, they're dancing with these silver balls on their hands.
Yes.
And it's very 1500s, 1400s
Yeah,
type,
yes,
aristocracy type dancing. Mm-hmm. Buck's got other ideas.
It's like a ballroom dance. Yes, Buck's got other ideas.
Convinces the DJ to step it up.
Yeah.
Give it a bit of funk.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that annoys me, but he asks for rock and roll,
Yeah.
and this guy plays funk.
Yes.
No one seems to notice that he's playing funk. Well, I mean, if he'd said, play me some cool funk, I'd be like, that's all right. But
Yeah.
he didn't. He asked for rock.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
didn't get it.
Yeah. And
guy's
when he
always-
first tries to acquiesce to his request, Buck didn't like it. So he said, no. Let yourself go.
Yeah.
And then he gets it
Yes,
straight away.
yeah.
The DJ gets it straight away.
You imagine that the DJ at home was probably jamming out to something pretty cool, right? But when he goes in to do the
Yeah.
ballroom
Yeah.
thing, he's got
One day I'll get to play my stuff.
Exactly. So he was able to cut loose. So anyway, Buck's doing this dancing move
With the princess.
with the princess.
Well, he dances and then he encourages the princess to come on.
Yes.
Yeah, she's
And I
right
think
into
saying
it.
that he dances is a pretty loose definition of the term.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
got this.
It includes facial features.
Yeah, he's
His
just
dancing
sort of-
technique is heavily facial featured.
It's got kind of a walking backwards jog that happens in
It's
it.
the way a dad dances.
And sort of, yeah,
It's the dad
and it's got
dance.
this sort of this backwards head movement
Yeah.
where you kind of pull your head backwards.
He gets a duck.
He's doing the dad dance. And the princess thought, oh, this looks cool. Yeah, I like this, yeah. So
She gets it.
Oh, she's yeah.
She's getting loose.
Yeah, she's just.
Yeah.
All right.
And so the crowd are outraged, right?
Yeah.
Because they've never seen such frivolity and looseness. But no one is more outraged than Kane.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I think there might be one. Okay, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, Kane puts a stop to it immediately.
Yes.
Comes storming over and dresses her down in front of the crowd. And really gives her a piece of his mind and reminds her that there are 28 other daughters that would behave better in such circumstances.
There was
But
one,
there was someone else that got a little annoyed with it.
somebody else who got a little bit annoyed was Colonel Deering.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. She was like looking
Well,
from the
have to remember
like a
that-
wallflower on the side of the.
So what's happening underneath the narrative, Tom? Correct me if I'm wrong. Buck's already worked out that the only way he's going to prove his story is to get back on board the ship. And the only way to do that is to befriend the princess
That's right.
and slip her a Mickey.
Yes,
Because he puts into plan...
because at the moment he's picked up a load of
he's
drugs.
already told Twiggy to go and find him some serious painkillers.
Yes, drugs.
And Twiggy went and found them.
Yes.
Colonel Deering tried to say that she's completely changed her mind about him and wants to get together and work a little closer, shall we say. And he put the mockers on that straight away because he's already got a plan.
He needs to get on board of the spaceship and foil the plan because nobody on Earth believes him.
That's right. Because he still believes that Earth is under threat. He's the one person that is saying, no, you can't trust these people. They're gonna take over.
So, how does Colonel Deering take out her frustrations and try to solve the problem?
By vowing to kill him and wipe him out.
No, well, there's another element that maybe you're forgetting.
Oh,
She gives you a big fat-
dominant pash.
A dominant, big, fat, pashing snog.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And then, to which Buck responded with, "I've got a headache."
We've got to go.
Yeah.
I've got to
Yes.
go now.
Yes.
I've got another date.
Yes.
So, yeah. So,
I think there was a scene earlier when they engaged the pirates. No, it might not have been when maybe it was. There was a scene where she's putting advances on him, and he's just checking his watch.
No, that's the one when she snogs him. She
Yeah,
just comes up
that's
and gives
right.
him a big snog, and he's like looking at his watch.
He couldn't be less asked because he knows he's already been told by the princess that her yacht leaves at a certain time, and so he can't meet Wilma. In fact, he's got to put the mockers on that in order to get away and get on board.
He's got to get on board the small ship that's going to go back up to the big draconian
That's
super
correct.
ship.
Now, who else?
So he takes Twiki and
Well, he doesn't
along,
know.
doesn't
He doesn't know.
Oh, they sneak on board.
They sneak. How does he sneak on board? How did they get into that fridge?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a comedic moment where they come out of the fridge,
Yes.
but how?
Yes. Yes. One can only assume that Dr. Theopolis, being artificial intelligence and very intelligent, is on to Buck and thinks that maybe he is a pirate.
Yeah, I don't think it was explained either how, because
But they certainly followed him on board.
They stole
Yes,
away.
They follow him on board.
But they don't kind of explain either how they got on board or, why.
I thought
Yes.
they'd still trust him. I thought Theopolis was still on Buck's side, and they came along in case they still don't know what's what, but they think we'll need to be there in order to see what happens and who
It's
he
not
is.
until they see him later that they get the wrong idea and think he's one of the pilots while he's actually
when he's dressed up as
sabotaging.
one of the.
That's right. But yes, I think you're right. I think they thought that they could help. But yes, Buck doesn't know that they're there while they've stowed away on the princess's yacht.
All right, so we end up in, starting to bring this to a conclusion, we end up in Princess Aladala's bedroom
Oh, yes, with Tiger Man.
with Tiger
Man
Man.
initially outside the bedroom.
Yeah, well, he gets banished outside the bedroom.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
out there like on his phone or something or other.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird what he's up to out there.
Yeah.
But okay, and so Buck, I really liked this scene. So we've got Princess Ardala and Buck Rogers, right? And Buck is going to try and drug her, right? He's got drugs. And he's going to try and drug her. And they go into this kind of little sort of, like I said before, double entendre sort
Yes.
of discussion.
Yes.
But it's kind of it's a kid's version. So it's like 1.5 double.
Made for television.
Half double. And they make these little jokes about, my father, she tries to tempt him. So she says, my father would give you a seat at his table.
Yeah.
And, you know, he says something, well, that's not the seat I'm thinking about right at the moment.
Yes.
You know, it's this very James Bondy kind of...
A lot of innuendo there.
Witty sort of innuendo.
And she's explaining that she wants more than his body, right? She needs a strong, charismatic man to be beside her while she takes over from the father or takes the role. She's not going to be taken seriously unless she has this guy. So there's more to it than just a sexual interest there.
Yes, yeah. So maybe she's trying to replace Kane because, you know, she doesn't like Kane.
Well, she openly insults him. I think later on she puts forward the notion that none of this would have happened if you had a set of balls. when they're escaping later on, yes, he tries to blame her, and says, none of this would have happened if you hadn't have brought Buck Rogers on board the ship. And she comes back with him and says, "No, none of this would have happened if you had a set of balls." Maybe not word for word, but yes.
okay,
He slips her a Mickey.
Yeah. So she gets knocked out
Yes.
on the bed
Yep.
in a bikini, and Buck has bigger fish to fry.
Well, Tom, tell us about the weaponry that dispatches Tiger Man.
In the first fight,
No, in this fight.
well,
There's a fight
Well, yes,
coming
the
up.
first altercation.
this is not the first fight this is not the last fight those two guys are having, right?
Yeah.
It's not the last, but it is the first.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
the first,
it's
yes.
the first one. 'Cause
So Tiger Man's like hiding.
Tiger's man's with his back to the door. He's
Outside
guarding
the door, yeah.
outside the door. Bucks opens the door and sneaks up from behind.
Grabs his gun.
Wants to, and then Tiger Man turns around and sees them, and they have.
And what is the
Have a
gun?
go-to.
What type of gun is that? Can you remember?
Space gun of sorts, isn't it?
No,
It's a
Freeze gun.
mid
yeah,
pose
that's
gun.
Damn it.
it's a stop the film gun.
That's right. That's right. So just when Tiger Man was ready to crush his bones,
Yep.
Yes.
Freezes him.
Buck uses his gun, which freezes Tiger Man, and then when Buck picks Tiger Man up, he maintains the same pose. It's a comedic moment in the film.
Carries him over.
Carries him
into the
over
bed
and
and
puts
lays
him in bed with the queen,
princess, yeah.
with the princess. Yes.
Okay.
Puts him under the sheets and tucks him under.
So now Buck is free to roam the ship.
Yes.
He dispatches of a guard
Mm-hmm.
and takes on the human uniform with the big samurai helmets.
Yep.
And now he looks like a bad guy.
Yes.
All right. So when he's wandering around, he finds the pirate ships.
Yes,
So
in-
they
in
must
the
be
hangar.
Fighters, little fighters.
the fighters. So they're in some sort of special hangar bay or some different one, and he finds that one, and so yeah, he's found the ships now.
He's come up with a plan to sabotage them
Yep.
by shoving a banana in the tailpipe in the form of an explosive device.
Puts a bomb in their tailpipe. Yeah.
Yes,
Bomb.
which don't explode until they're outside the ship. So maybe the engines don't come on until you're outside.
Maybe the bombs have to die.
Unless later on when he uses it on Tiger Man. He straps it,
Ah,
sticks one
yes.
of them into
That's
his
right.
belt and kicks him away.
That's right, and doesn't kill him,
Well,
right? Because he appears in later episodes
So
of the
there's
season.
does he?
There is a change. So there's the movie version, and then there is the TV pilot version.
Yes.
And in the movie, they changed it a little bit. They toned it down a little bit for the TV audience.
Yes.
The innuendo and the sexy talk, and like when Tweaky comes out of the fridge, he says, "I'm freezing my ball bearings off."
That's right.
And then in the TV show, they rephrase that to something less, you know. And then with Tiger Man as well in the movie, he explodes. I don't know why anymore. He gets kicked into the bunch of barrels and then explodes.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to really. Use it.
But then here, we just see him get kicked out of shot,
Yes.
and then we don't see him anymore. And then
Yeah.
later on in the TV show, they can bring him back.
Now, an interesting thing about Tiger Man in this film. Did you notice?
I think I noticed.
What did you
I don't know
notice?
what you noticed.
What did you notice?
After they froze Tiger Man, and then he's in bed, right?
Yeah.
Then down in the hangar, we
Yeah.
meet Tiger Man again. Oh, this is after we have another part of the story for Tiger Man. Tiger Man's story.
Well, Tiger Man catches Buck shoving things in the tailpipes of the fighters.
Yes.
And a battle ensues.
I think it's a different Tiger Man.
It is a different actor.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not the same Tiger Man.
It's
I was
not
confused.
the same Tiger Man.
I was very confused.
And there are Tiger Man that reappears in later episodes. Also is two different guys.
Ooh, maybe
so in
they-
one episode, it's sort of Tiger Man that was only available on Tuesdays, and then the other guy, because the guy that meets him down in the hangar that meets his end by having an explosive device shoved down the back of his pants, is a famous actor. I forget his name. Haggerty. Where is it? H.B. Haggerty.
Okay.
And he played quite a lot of roles in old timey movies where you had the circus guy that wore the leopard print undies with
okay.
the,
The wrestler
the
type.
big
Okay.
mustache, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's the guy that did all the close-up work and the battle work at the end.
Yeah.
But the earlier stuff where Tiger Man was just a bunch of muscles over there was a radically different actor.
Yeah,
Totally.
tall,
Different
much
screen
taller.
presence
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Duke
absolutely.
Butler. Duke Butler and H.B. Haggerty.
Yeah.
Two different Tiger Men.
In the same movie. And then to throw more confusion into the mix, later on, she has a different henchman called Panther Man, who looked strikingly like the Leather Man from the Village People, with a big black hanging mustache that went down to here, and he had little black leather undies, and he wasn't, and he had his own action figure as well. But yeah, Tiger Man. There were two actors that were Tiger Man in this film.
Yes. I
That
noticed.
explains why one exploded and the other one came back for the series.
Maybe the ship has multiple Tiger
Yeah,
Men,
that's what-
part of the
Maybe.
Tiger troop.
It's the Tiger breed crew.
Tiger clones.
Well, that perhaps explains why when Queen Aladala wakes up and she looks over to what's under the sheets in the bed next to her
Yes.
after her drug-filled delirium,
Yes.
she pulls it back and she sees Tiger Man.
Yes. Can you do a good representation of the screaming, Tom?
Screaming's just ridiculous.
Isn't it funny?
It was more like squawky.
And it's like they got one scream and then just sampled it.
Yes.
But doesn't she immediately order to have him killed as
Yes,
well?
have him taken out and killed.
Yep.
Immediately.
Yep.
And then Kane says, "No, stop." Question him.
Yeah, I don't know quite. We need him for a fight scene later.
Because now they know that Buck's roaming around the ship.
So Buck puts bombs in tailpipes.
Yes.
And
And gets observed by Twiggy.
Yes, Twiggy and
Theo.
Dr. Theopolis have...
So they see him now, and now they go, oh dear, he's on the bad side.
He's a bad guy.
He's
Because he's
servicing
dressed
the
as
ships.
he's dressed as a bad
Yeah,
guy.
it's obviously, yeah.
and there are fighters flying around outside.
Not yet.
Deering turns up.
Deering
somewhere.
has to be. Deering gets contacted by Dr. Theopolis, but
Oh, that's
only
right.
after
she
Buck.
calls. That's right. She calls him in.
Buck has to convince Dr. Theopolis
Yeah.
that he's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
And he convinces him when Dr. Theopolis sneaks up behind Buck and steals his gun, similar to what Buck did to Tiger Man. Points the gun at him and says, if we're all going to die, then at least I'll die knowing that we've taken you out, you know, you cad. And then Buck says, if I was really a pirate, would I be loading explosive devices into the pirate ships? And then lays the plan out and describes how that the pirates are really draconian,
Yeah.
That's right.
and they've been cutting off the supply lines. And Theopolis says, "That's genius. How can I help?" And then Buck says, "Call Wilmer to bring up the cavalry and blow this ship out of the sky."
Problem with Theophilus is that he forgets that he's only a weather droid.
Yeah.
And he keeps thinking that he can be a lawyer or a general or a spy master.
There's
Indeed.
one episode, the same one with Buster Crabbe in it in the TV show, where they actually get to fly a space fighter in a battle. Him and Twiggy.
Oh
Because
yes,
they have too little. All the pilots have been made sick with some disease.
Yes.
And the evil guys want to invade Earth, and so they need to scramble everyone available. And Buster Crabbe comes out of retirement.
Yes.
As Brigadier Gordon.
yes, yes.
Interesting,
Yeah. Little
yeah.
nod.
Little nod. And yeah, Twiggy, and because this is a leftover space fighter, then Twiggy and Theo also get to pilot one.
Yeah, yeah.
They can do anything that the script requires. I looked up what the AI is, the quads, as you say. They're called ambula quads or something.
Yes.
Ambula means to amble is to move, which is one thing that they cannot do.
It's the one thing they can't do.
And quads means 4, of which they also have nothing.
At least 12 of them.
It's the weirdest name of these guys.
That's brilliant. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
That's the Computer Council.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Deering turns up, and the spaceships, the pirates launch, and they've got
explode.
the bombs up their tailpipe, and boom, they get blown up.
A couple of ships make it through, and then the Wilma, now that they switch off their targeting computers,
They've got that.
are able to take them out.
Yes.
And Wilma goes in. She's still convinced Buck's a bad guy, right? Because he ditched her at the dance.
Yes, that's right.
And she wants to kill him and knows that he's on board the ship.
Yeah.
But Theopolis calls her and says, no, Buck's one of us. You need to help him. And so she swoops in and saves Twiggy and Theo and Buck.
And they all squeeze into one ship.
All squeeze into the one fighter and take off just as the big ship blows up. But the princess escapes.
Yeah, she and her hench. What's it?
Kane.
Kane. Those two go on an
and Tiger Man's somewhere there.
Yeah, there's also a bit which happened a little bit before. I don't know when it happened. When Kane talks to a hologram of the king.
Ah, yes.
Which is kind of important as well.
And he is ropeable.
Oh, he's not very happy about
The attack was started without his forces arriving.
Yeah.
That's right.
And he says, no, it's your daughter who did this.
They screwed it up.
It's entirely her fault.
Yeah.
Screwed it up.
Yes, there was a holographic version of the Emperor, the King, Draco.
Is it Draco?
I think hence the Draconian Emperor.
Right, yeah.
And that's about it. That's about it.
There was that rather touching sequence where Wilma puts a heart on her sleeve and tells Buck.
And once again,
he's going to see a softer side of her now, and she's obviously.
And he doesn't seem to give a shit.
He's looking out the window.
Yeah, he's literally saying, "Yeah, that's nice."
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, because he's looking at the princess's ship escaping.
Oh, is that what he's looking at?
Yeah. I think he's got the hots for the princess.
Yeah,
which is a weird dynamic in this narrative, right? Because really, he should like the good girl, right? But he doesn't. I think deep down he likes the princess.
I don't think she's his type. He's a bit of a rabble-rousing, heroic action.
Deering's too uptight.
Quick, fast-talking.
Yep.
Yeah.
He likes someone that can
there.
get down with him on the dance floor.
Yeah, and pull those jogging backwards dance moves.
And the end. Tell me about the ending, Dan.
That was the ending.
There was no ending, was there?
No, that's it. Yes, it's kind of a bit weird. It ends
Roll
with
credits.
It ends with a bit of a okay, thanks.
It's a VFX shot of the ship, sort of the lens flares flying back to Earth.
Yeah.
Roll credits.
And we're done. Yeah.
We're out of there. And it almost felt like, do we have a plan for the ending? Did anyone discuss the end? No, we've got to have this done, man. What are you talking about? We could sort of cut it here.
Yeah.
Let's just cut it there.
Yeah, we'll run out of money, basically.
Yeah.
Were we going to film a few more things?
No, heroes. We often talk about movies that have a crescendo and then a conclusion, right? Where we get to see the product of the ending,
of the result,
of the result, right? Which is the hero's welcome, the marching band, Harry Potter,
getting
the kids,
the medals. Yeah. They didn't have any of that, actually, did they?
No.
That wouldn't be too hard for them to all hug and wave or something.
It was very 50s. Like we've done a few movies from the 50s, sci-fi movies that just stop. Right? They get to a scene and they just stop.
It could also be by design because it is meant as an ongoing story to keep people thinking, let's watch the next episode.
Yeah,
and
see how it continues.
Hence, I think him staring forlornly, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Out the window at the princess's
wondering
escape.
about the next episode,
and the fact she escapes as well, and we get to see the escape, and we get to see the bumbling sort of aspect of their, decision-making process, and you just get the sense. I think they even say the term, "You'll see me again, Buck Rogers," or you know what I mean. Like I think that's actually in there somewhere. Yeah.
So in conclusion, just about the narrative, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it kind of the usual stuff that we review on this show, it was kind of up there.
It wasn't bad.
I felt that it kind of all hung together. I didn't think it was too complicated. There was some, even though there was the who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, there was a bit of that, and I think that can kind of get a bit dangerous in these type of movies if you try to overcomplicate it with double crossing and nobody's too sure about the secret motivations of whatever. But
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a television. It's made for kids.
Yeah.
I got the sense that it was made for kids.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, there wasn't a lot of hidden agenda and those sorts of things. So you were able to follow who believed what and when. And it was a pretty simple narrative to follow. So I agree with that. And you're right. It wasn't bad, right? It wasn't designed to be next level narrative crafted, storytelling.
Okay, so I have to say I was very disappointed. It was nowhere near as good as I thought it was, as I remembered it.
In hindsight.
And I think we talked about Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. It very much comes to that Flash Gordon mold. So it's that sort of B-movie type. These sort of, what do you call it? Special show in the cinemas, which came on between the main features, 15-minute, whatever it was. With the princess with the ridiculous hair and her father, who's a king with a ridiculous headset and all. It's very, very much of that sort of stuff. But the Flash Gordon movie that came out a couple of years ago is way better than this.
Oh, yeah.
This is a pretty bad film, really, I think.
I don't think this ever was designed to go to the cinema. I think what happened is Glenn A. Larson realised that he missed an opportunity with Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, that's the thing. I thought Battlestar Galactica was much better than this.
Yeah.
It was a much better series, better sci-fi, it's better written, the characters more interesting. I thought this is quite a retrograde step, really.
Yeah.
But it did do well, so maybe he did judged it properly from that point. And it's also very sexist and misogynistic.
Oh yeah.
Which is awful.
Oh yeah. It's his character all over, isn't it? Like he gets away with it because he's out of time.
Yeah.
But yes, a lot of the actual main characters in the season and in this film, opposite Buck, are female characters that are in. Like there's a princess, there's Wilma in charge, and he gets away with the backhanded comments and things like that because he's out of time.
Yeah,
and he's not wise to the way we are now, sort of mentality. But and I certainly agree with Tony a little bit that it does not share the same production quality as Battlestar.
Yeah, Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. But as a narrative piece, it's not too bad. It's just simple. It's safe.
It's simple, kids.
It's just safe.
Gordon,
Yeah.
Space opera.
Yep. Did anyone have action figures or playing cards? There were Buck Rogers playing cards. I had some playing cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some action figures. I think I had Tiger Man. And always wanted a fighter.
Yeah,
but that was the top shelf item. Was well out of our reach. To have a Buck Rogers fighter. All right, gentlemen. Before we move on and have a quick quiz here, let's give our rating to the film as you saw it, without thinking about the series, but just as a self-contained film exercise. Dan, our although Dan is more likely to break this rating system, we rate things with buy, borrow, or burn, but somehow Dan normally brings it to, I give it 4 ducks.
4.5 if it's Dan.
Dan?
Well, I'll stick with the system this time around. I think it's definitely a watch, and particularly if you've seen it in the past, you should watch it again. So it's kind of a borrow for me. Yeah, I don't know if it needs to stay on the shelf. That's about it.
What about you, Tom?
I find it hard to separate it from the series. In my mind, it's all one big, and it is basically the pilot
in the
for
series.
the series.
This was the first 2 episodes of the series.
It is, and normally if you hadn't given me the restrictions to just stick to this film, I would definitely say it's a buy.
Yeah.
And I think I'll have to stick with that for the film.
Well, I think you might be in a similar place to me. In isolation, I wouldn't buy it. but I have no problems in buying a season, right? Which includes this
Yes.
as the first episode. But so for me, buy, but only on that premise that I would only buy it as part of the
I
actual
wouldn't buy it as a
series.
standalone.
I wouldn't buy it in
Actually,
isolation, but I'd certainly
would.
borrow it.
No, what I would like to do if I were able to get my hand on both, I would love to put this movie and the pilot into a video editor on top of one another and just compare. I would love
Yes.
to see what they cut out, what they edited. Is the second Tiger Man, was he edited later on to make him
Yeah,
survive?
yeah, that'd
Or-
be interesting.
I would love to see the two in comparison.
In this world, someone's done that. Surely. Tony, come on. There's got to be a YouTube video somewhere out there of someone that's done exactly that.
Maybe.
What about you, Tone?
Burn.
Burn.
Ooh, harsh.
Hated it, absolutely hated it.
This movie is a visceral affront to your
It
childhood.
is, it's terrible. If you're going to watch something like this and watch Flash Gordon,
Yeah.
watch the Flash Gordon movie.
Yeah.
If you're going to watch science fiction of this era, watch Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from. And in isolation, I agree. The series, in series form, this stuff works, right? It's Monster of the Week episode stuff. Every week there's a new challenge. And some of the co-stars that got into the first series, Gary Coleman from Different Strokes, Jamie Lee Curtis was in an episode, and Jack Palance.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He played this cult leader that had these hands,
Oh, he's
that he could
insane.
kill people with these glowing hands and stuff. But he's overacting in this
So bad,
in this
so
episode.
bad.
It was so good. It was so bad it was good.
There's another one which has the Riddler from Batman,
yes.
Frank Gorshin.
The original Riddler, yes.
And he's similar. He's just scenery showing the
Yeah.
stuff to bits.
Yes. All right. So generally speaking, a fairly good review by the panel, with the exception of Tony, who really's got some deep issues about the film.
Yeah, I found it really difficult.
All right, gents, we're going
Your
to.
childhood was destroyed by rewatch. Some things you should not rewatch as an
Yeah, I
adult.
think
Yes, there's
That's
a little
one of
bit of
those.
that
Yes.
in there. There's a little bit of that.
Yes, we've got a film coming up that that falls under that heading. I'm not going to. I won't let the cat out of the bag, but it's a Disney film, and we won't reveal the title. But when I've revisited that film as an adult, I was betrayed as well.
Yeah.
Tony, I was betrayed. I know how you feel. I'm with you. All right, gentlemen. I'm going to have to turn this on. It's going to make a noise because it looks like it's sort of timed out. This is top 10 question time. This is all answers come from the film itself. I think a majority of these questions we've already covered at length in the actual show itself. So it'll be fast buzzer time. Let's test our buzzers. Dan, Tom, Tony. Nice. I'm just going to get rid of the beep, 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 beep. And I'll go off the numbers here. Here we go. What is Buck's first name?
Isn't it William Buck Rogers?
Tom, yes, you are the first to buzz in this. It is William. So I've got my pen this week. I had to go off the recording to get the scores last week. And I am keeping a tally, which will be revealed at the end of the series.
Holy shit.
At the series.
That's right.
Better be a car in the prize or something if it's at the end of the series.
There will be a car.
Fantastic.
The size is going to disappoint you.
Okay.
Matchbox.
Question number 2. What year did Buck leave Earth on his original mission? Tom,
I say 1986.
you are locked out. Gentlemen, it's up to either of you to buzz in. Tony,
84.
Tony's out,
87.
Dan gets the points.
Sometimes it's worth waiting that the others.
We might, when we do dates from now on, we might just go closest to the pin.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a crack.
Yeah.
In my mind, they say in the opening that this is the year NASA sent out their final.
It was the last
of
deep
their
space probe.
Yeah, that's right. And I thought, this is the same year the Challenger exploded. So that's why 1986 is in my mind. But
Was it really?
it was 97.
Because they wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
In '79, they wouldn't have known about the Challenger.
No,
exploding.
but that's how I sort of connected. Because it's a space shuttle. He's essentially in a space shuttle.
He is.
He
Yeah.
It's a space shuttle, yeah.
Yep. Question number 3. What type of ship is the flagship Draconia?
What's it called?
It is a certain type of ship. It's mentioned. It's mentioned in the film, and it's mentioned by Kane, the character Kane.
But I'm just going to guess that worked well for Dan last round.
Tom?
It's a battle cruiser.
Incorrect. Any
Not
other
surprised.
guesses?
It is a Star Trader.
Close, but no cigar. Tony.
I don't know.
Got nothing.
I've got nothing.
It is a Star Fortress.
I think I was the closest. I had to.
You were close, but no points. Dan.
What?
Yeah.
Close should get some points.
Close gets no points. That's life. Question number 4. Where is the Earth Defense Directorate headquarters located? Tony,
Chicago. New Chicago.
more information.
New Chicago.
He said New Chicago. That's it.
Tony gets a point. Question number 5. What is the full name of the artificial intelligence unit Twiggy wore around his neck? Tom,
Full name.
Well, Dr. Theopolis.
that
Or
is
is there-
correct pronunciation. It is Dr. Theopolis. Tommy.
Dr. Theo.
Currently, Tommy 2 points, Dan and Tony on 1 point each. It's a close game tonight. Question number 6. What is Princess Ardala's first name? What is Princess Ardala's father's name? Very different question.
That's a very good.
Dan.
Draco.
Emperor Draco.
Emperor
Draco I'll accept.
Draco.
Is Emperor Draco or King Draco? He's referred to both during the film. Dan, 2 points. Question number 7. What colour are the lasers on the Earth Directorate fighters?
Green.
Dan, green. Correct.
I get the coloured ones right.
Question number 8. What was Twiggy freezing off? What? Tony.
Ball bearings.
Correct. He was freezing his ball bearings off. Question number 9. Where did Buck's original mission launch from? Tony.
Cape Canaveral.
Yeah.
Tony's locked out.
Ooh.
You got a buzz.
I said Cape Kennedy. Also, Cape Kennedy.
There's no such place as Cape Kennedy,
Well, maybe in the science fiction world there is. I don't know.
but you are close. Dan.
Florida. Somewhere.
Oh, you just united the planet Earth. You can't go wrong if you say Earth near the last one, so you might get.
Earth.
I'm not sure whether anyone gets the points, although Tom was close.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Kennedy Space Center.
Tony was locked out. He has got the question correct.
Kennedy Space
Do we vote on whether
Is Kennedy Space Center in Florida? That's my question.
Yes.
John F. Kennedy Space Center?
I knew it was there somewhere.
But yes, no one gets the points. Question 10.
All right.
It's currently Dan on 3, Tom on 2, Tony on 2. We could go to a tiebreaker. What was the flight designation number for Buck's NASA ship?
Oh, God.
Tony,
731.
close.
4.
Not close.
732.
Not close. And so you said 732. You said
773. Didn't I say 73?
You said 1. 731.
731. I think Tony's the closest. It was flight 711.
Oh.
Wow.
So he ended 1 digit out, 1 digit different out of the 3
That was just
digits.
a number I made up completely off the top of my
Was
head.
that a guess?
Total guess, yeah.
Holy dooly.
So you need to fill out my lottery ticket this week.
Yes, that's right.
So it's
All in the subconscious.
there's a tiebreaker.
Okay.
I don't have an extra question for a tiebreaker. So
If you ask another question, you got to get me out. Otherwise, I might get the point. And then it's 3 tiebreakers.
okay, What colour are the lasers on the pirate ships?
I'm locked out.
Oh, hang on. No, it was.
Yeah, it was me.
Oh, it wasn't green.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Tony was Tony before you, Tom.
Sure.
I
Go
think
ahead.
Tony was before.
What colour were the pirates'
Red.
lasers?
Ooh, I would
Tony's
say-
locked out.
I would say orange. Oh, sorry.
No.
I'm
Dan.
still locked out.
I'm good with the colours. I think it was orange.
Okay, well it's up to you. It's up to you, Tom.
Oh, is orange wrong?
Orange is wrong and red is wrong.
Yellow,
Everybody's wrong,
blue, green.
but
White.
out of those, I think Tony was probably the closest because they're purple.
A point.
I'm not, what? I don't think red is close to purple. I think we should go again.
Well, red is sort of in between orange and red. Purple is sort of in between orange. No, it's not. It's in between blue and red.
I'm going to check this when I get home.
Yes, they were
Alright.
they were a pinky purple colour.
Fair enough.
I'm not sure whether I have another question.
No.
How do you spell Wilma's last name?
No, I don't have the answer to that on
I do.
my sheet.
I'm locked myself out again.
Yeah,
By
we'll have to
clicking
go with. We will go with one. Here we go.
Stop. People have
What
to
was the
turn on-
first-
Hi, stop.
Oh, hang on. We all go. What was the first name of the actress who played Princess Ardala? Or last name?
Don't know.
No takers? She was Pamela Hensley. What was the first name of the actor who played Buck Rogers?
Gil.
Tom, you did buzz in first, and you are correct.
Sorry, I shouldn't. Yeah, sorry.
You shouldn't even be in it.
I go.
You're not in the tiebreaker.
Right, but now I am.
Tom's not in the tiebreaker. I'm going to.
Let's just call it a tie.
Now I'm on 3. Now we're all on 3.
Yes.
See? Perfect.
Yes.
Symmetry.
By the end of this season of Voyage of the Geek, we'll
All right.
throw this one into the mix.
All right. True or false?
I'll stay out of it.
True or false? Glenn A. Larson. Glenn A. Larson was the executive producer on the miniseries V. Tony?
False.
Incorrect.
True.
Dan.
Yay!
So Dan's won a quiz. It's been a while.
It has been.
The
This
elation.
is possibly my first win ever.
All right, gentlemen, that's our deep dive into the 1979/1980 TV movie Buck Rogers in the 25th century. That's it from me. Until next time, it's bye.
Goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.
What is your membership? How many of you are there?